I played this song and decided to do this broadcast because of something that happened last night. And my last broadcast I did, I did the diet show with Minister Inky, right? Now, he said something, right? And it kind of sparked me to do this broadcast about almond and why I use the terminology almond in reference to the black race as opposed to human. Because, like I said, we were talking about different eating habits and, what was good for our people to eat and everything. And, when I said that our people, so-called black people, are not part of the human race, I meant it. I stand on that. I said that black people are another species. You don't have to believe anything I say. You don't have to acknowledge anything I say. All you got to do is look for yourself. Look for yourself. Pay attention. Look at us and look at everybody else. I'm going to say this again. I've been saying this from the beginning. Look at us and look at everybody else. Minister Inky, my guest from yesterday from Holistic University Radio, said that he agreed with me when I said that black people are not the same as white people, Asians, and East Indians. He agreed with me, right? However, that is nowhere in medical books per se. I mean, certain instances and things that we have in common and things that we don't have in common. I said that black people, if you look at the way our hair grows, the texture of our hair, the texture of our skin, our facial features, everything, obviously we're not the same as everybody else. That's a given. We're totally different. And I said it has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with color. I said we are a totally different species of being, from beige complected with this woolly hair all the way to the darkest brown complexion of people. I mean, you can look at that. Nobody has to tell you that. If you have to look for white scientists or Asian scientists or Indian or whoever other scientists to tell you this, if you're waiting for them to tell you this, you're going to be waiting for a long time because they're not ready to give up that information. They're not ready to acknowledge that black people, so-called black people, Negroes, are a different species or a different race of being, that we are a different race of people. And when they say that our people, when they set up here and talked about racism amongst our people, being racist against our people, that had nothing to do with color. Nothing at all to do with color. I'm going to give you logical reasons why I refer to the so-called black race as the almond race, not the human race. I'm going to make it logical and plain. So simple that even a child could understand it. But if you're looking again for these terminologies and what we are the first to state in the state of Mentel, if you're looking for white scientists to say this, if you're looking for them to give validity to this, then you're going to be wasting your time. That way of thinking only comes from people who think that white people know everything. And you got a lot of Negroes like that. You got a lot of black people, white people, because they're so used to these people, white scientists or whatever, Asian, whatever. They're so used to these people being the authorities on everything, or quote-unquote posting themselves up or positioning themselves up over everybody to be authorities on everything, authoritarian figures, a.k.a. the ones who author the books on science, biology, right? Certain DNA coding, whatever. These are the people who author the books, and they tell you they've done all of this research and things like that, and they give all kinds of names, and you don't know. You don't really have a clue whether they did it or not. They can just basically say anything and put a DR in front of their name or a PhD in the back of their name, and you're going to take it as gospel like most black people do, like many people do. Not just black people, but the world takes it. Because the first thing you do is you run to these people, right? And once they say something, you take it as gospel. That's it. That's the truth. As if some supreme being handed it down, right? And that's it. It's just written in stone what they said. Nobody takes it into nobody takes it to task. Nobody weighs it. Nobody thinks about it. Nobody applies logic to what's being said. See, when you don't do that, you start the world out of making them believers. Believers in theory, believers in philosophy, believers in religion. You produce a people who are no longer thinking. You produce a bunch of believers. You believe these people because they said it. Minister Inky, when I referred to black people as the almond race, he said, "Oh, brother, you made that up. That's your thing. You made up." But yet this Negro sat up here and quoted, breaking down the so-called biological or the different species of meat eaters and plant eaters. He used the term omnivore, carnivore, and herbivore. Now, where did Minister Inky get those terminologies from? He didn't come up with them. He got them from the white man. He got those from the white man. But it's funny, you take what the white man says, you read into his books and whatnot, he makes up these terminologies, and you don't once say, even if it's further back, wherever it came from, if you say the origin of the word comes from this language, that language, whatever, and some white scientist or some white botanist or whatever, some white chemist came up with the word, and you don't say he made up the word, you just take it as that's what it is. So, in other words, it's okay for the white man to make up the word, but then when the minute ᴘᴇᴏᴘᴟᴇ makes up a word, oh, brother, you making it up as if it's nothing. So, in other words, you don't respect anything if a black man comes with it and can make it make sense and can apply it logically. I refer to black people as almond beings or omni people because I said that before in our broadcast, I said that black people have no origin on this planet. They cannot find how old black people are here. You can go and look it up and whatnot. They can tell you that nonsense about black people come from Africa. That's a lie. That is a bold-faced lie. And I challenge anybody to come on here and back that lie up. They have never found the origin of black people. The further back they trace the so-called human, because they give you different stories every year, so-called human origin, they trace back to some monkey woman named Lucy. Right? She covered in fur and all over her face, and she's short and whatnot. And they say all people come from her, including black people. Really? Really? First of all, black people don't grow hair down all in their face. We grow hair up in the air. So how are we coming from some monkey woman? Monkeys got fur. We got hair that grows up in the air. You ain't finding no animal or no monkey that grow an afro. Right? We have nothing to do with, I should say it directly, with the human genesis or the human genetic structure, or else we would look like the humans. We would have straight hair or fur like your white man, your East Indian, and your Asian. They got the same kind of fur that they call hair. Dead strands that are growing down. Our hair grows up in the air to denote life. They can't find any origin of our people on this planet. Why? Because we are descendants of those omni beings, meaning those continuous ones or those eternal beings. I said the word amen or amen. The word men comes from our ancient tongue from the ancient Kemetic tongue, which goes even further back than that. The word men, and they refer to it as M-I-N, men, goes back to the ancient Kemetic tongue, and even further back than that, to the word in, right? Going to the Sumerian, which meant Lord, as they were talking about men or mighty men or men beings or male beings coming to this earth and seeding life here. Now we all know this is not even dealing with no God theory or no God belief. We know obviously that an advanced race of people, right, had to come and create everything in existence, right? And that we're following the order of something higher, of people that set things in motion. That's not even a belief. That's a fact. Nobody can explain how everything got here. If you're talking about a Big Bang theory, which the white man likes to give this explanation to, then that means somebody engineered that and made everything come into order. So the higher intelligence or the higher minds of a people that engineered these things, the killing off of the dinosaurs, the bringing together of the solar system, the coming together of the biological structure, had to be intelligent people because there's an order. Wherever there's order, there is intelligence. And just like wherever there's water, there's life. Wherever there's order, there's intelligence, meaning that people set these things in motion, people that are obviously more advanced than human race, right? Your human race can't answer that question. Obviously, because they cannot find where the black race comes from, obviously we can't come from here. Because the human race, they trace their genetic, they trace their bloodline back to apes, to monkeys. You see Darwin's chart with the monkeys and going to monkey to man. The black man is not in that chart. I'm going to say it again. The black man is not in that chart. So therefore, black people are not linked to monkeys or apes. Now, I know you simple-minded Negroes who've been educated by the white man, you like to think you in that chart and that you are human, that you are part of the animal genetic, but you're not. They know you're not. That's why they're racist against you. It's not a color thing. It's a human species thing. Human race versus you're not, in other words, you're not part of the human race. That's where the real racism lies at. Because if you were part of the human race, if it was a color thing, right? If it was really a color thing, then why do they, and I always say this, why do they accept the East Indians and not black people? East Indians are just as dark as black people. Why does the white man accept the East Indians as they people? Reason being because they all the same race. They all part of the human race. That's why they accept them. Not because of anything else. Not because of anything else. They all carry the same type of hair. They come from the same genetic structure, the same genetic makeup. If you carry the same hair and the same flank features, I don't care if there's a difference in shade or complexion. It doesn't mean anything. That's melanin in the East Indian. You can find the origin of the East Indian. When you go to the ape, from the monkey or the primate to a human race, you'll see in there, you'll see the East Indian in there, up to the white man. Everything in between there comes out of that creation or that origin point. All human race comes out of that except for the blacks. Where do the blacks fit in? The so-called Negro, the Negro man and Negro woman who hair growing up in the air against gravity. Where do you fit in? You don't. That's why there's racism against you, because you're not part of the human race. When we said the almond race, we talked about the Omni race. We said that there was a race of advanced beings that our ancestors talked about, whether they was referred to in Egypt as Neteru, or in Sumeria, from amongst our people, as Anunnaki, or amongst the Dogons, the Mali, the Dogon people, as the Nomos, or they referred to them as I forget the Anu people. I forget what they referred to them and the Dogons as, right? But they talked about this Amma as their god, Amma, which is the same thing as Amen. In Egypt, they talked about Amen, right? The god Men, Amen Ra, Amen, it's all the same person, right? Amen. Omni men, men, powerful men or mental beings, right? Advanced beings, continuous ones, the ones who come from outside this world. You look at the black race and you look at everybody else here. You mean to tell me we're related because we have certain relative things? You mean to think that we're really related to these people? If you were really related to, wouldn't it not make sense that they treat you as outcasts because you actually are outcasts? You don't belong amongst these people? Notice everybody has a problem with us. I don't care if it's the East Indian. The East Indian don't like you. And yet Minister Inky sat up here and said, well, the only difference between the East Indian and so-called blacks is feature and hair. Obviously not. Obviously not. But we're going to discuss that in great detail tonight, because I apply this term Omni being or Omni beings to our people because we're not of this planet. I'm going to discuss that in greater detail tonight, and I'm taking phone calls tonight. I am the intellectual Nuben Menkares, and this is State of Mental Radio, and tonight, the Amen race. Yes, the black race. That is the Amun race. We are not part of the human race. When the white man said back in slavery that we're not human, he was right. He told you the truth right there. He called you 3/5 a man. He said you was an animal, all this stuff. He told you right there that you were not. And they say we're not human. Black people are not human. Right? They said it. And they always thought that about you. They always thought that our people were not human. They tried to link us to the monkey. They tried to make all kinds of derogatory terms and whatnot. But then their scientist, Darwin, said that they're linked to the monkeys. Didn't put the black man there. He put the white man there in human origin of coming from animals. Didn't put us nowhere. Right? Didn't put us nowhere. The word Amun, when Amun is making description of one who is, or they refer to Amun as the king of the gods. They use the word gods. The white man, they call it the ᴘᴇᴏᴘ, or the king of the ᴘᴇᴏ. I went on to explain that that's actually a race of people. Just as you have in human race, you have an Amun race. It wasn't just one man. It was a race of what they call, quote-unquote, gods or supreme beings or advanced people that came here to this planet several times. When they seeded this planet with life, they left their bloodline manifestations here, meaning your black race, and they seeded life, creating the human race, which comprises your East Indians, your Asians, which became your Asians, and later on down the line, through genetic mutation, your white race. That's what they come from when they talk about, because we filling in the blanks tonight. That's what they talk about when they talk about those people travel to different places and climate and things changed took the color from their skin and things like that. They're talking about the East Indian traveling from place to place, not the so-called black man. Because I don't care where you put so-called black people at on the planet, they're not gonna turn white. Their hair is not going to become straight. Elements will not do that. You got albino. Then they come with this story about the albino black man became white. Well, last time I checked, when I look at albino black people, you still know they're black, even with no color to their skin. You still know that they're part of the black race. You can see the difference between a white albino and a black albino. You still know that they are not of the white race. Look at a black albino. So obviously the whole color thing goes out the window. Why do they refer to, and Minister Inky kept talking about this melanocyte thing, or this eumelanin, which is just really another term for melanin. Because when you look it up, there's a eumelanin, but it's talking about another term for melanin. They refer to eumelanin as that which encompasses the brown gene, the black gene, or the black melanin, and brown melanin and black melanin. Brown melanin and black melanin. First of all, there's no such thing as black melanin. There's no such thing as black people. What are they really saying when they're saying black melanin and brown melanin? Why are they referring to our people as black people when there are no such thing as black people? Why do they say that? You got a light skinned black person, and they'll still refer light skinned Negro, so-called black, and they'll still refer to that person as black. Yet their skin is not black. Why are they referring to you as black? If your skin is light skin or beige complexion, and you're brown skin or whatever, yet they refer to you as black. You know why they really do that? They do that because they're denoting that you're different from the so-called brown races, which is your East Indians, your Mexicans, and all these other people. So they call you the black gene, which is really not no such thing as black melanin. That black melanin is just another word for carbon. Carbon is black. I said that we are carbon-coated people. We don't have melanin. Melanin is an artificial breakdown or water derivative, right, or artificial derivative of carbon. That's what melanin is. Because and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad tried to explain that somewhat, even though he didn't understand the terminologies used. He said from the black gene, from the black germ, he used the word germ, the black germ and the brown germ, right? When they're talking about referring to our people, talking about black, like I said, nobody's black. There is no black people on the planet. The darkest skinned person you see is brown. That's dark brown. There's no such thing as a black person. They're differentiating you from the brown people, the Mexicans, the East Indians, and all those are brown people. We are a different kind of brown, right? We are a carbon dark brown, or from that dark black carbon. We are carbon people, not melanin people. Melanin is in the East Indian. As I said, it is an artificial derivative of carbon, an artificial water derivative of carbon. Now, you're not going to find this phrase being common or within the scientific community. This is new intelligence coming through. Same way you get inspired to receive intelligence. Like I said, a lot of black people wasn't thinking for thousands of years. That's why you kept on thinking, hey, we're the same as these people. But if you pay attention, you look at yourself and you look at how you move, look at your hair, look at your skin, obviously you're not. Obviously you're very different from these people. But a lot of our people are not willing to accept that. Right? Right? They're not ready to accept that. Like I said, they're still looking for the white man to tell them something. Minister Inky up here and said that the same melanin, or same quote-unquote melanin, is in our skin is the East Indian. He said the only way you'll be able to tell the difference is through hair and lips and facial feature, which is a damn lie. I don't know what he's looking at. You can tell the difference amongst our people. You can tell a difference in our people. All you got to do is pay attention. All you got to do is look. That's all you got to do. All you got to do is pay attention and look. The fact that they can't find our people nowhere. The fact that our people just pop up and we building structures and things like that and all over the place, and they've been trying to find the origin of the so-called black man. They told that a lie that black people come from apes. And you got simple-minded Negroes, educated ones, right, so-called educated ones who sat up there and learned under them and was instructed by them to think a certain kind of way, that we came from apes, right? Yeah, apes don't have afros. Where do these afros come from? Where does our hair come from, right? Where does our coordination come from? Where's this carbon texture in our skin come from? But that can't be answered. Where's the origin of the so-called black man and black woman? Like I said, the human race traces their origin back to animals. So what is the origin of our people? If you don't know, if you can't say, then don't shoot down nothing that comes out of our mouths. I said our hair, the way our hair grows up denotes where we come from. Our hair pointing up in the air denotes where we come from. Their hair points down denotes where they come from. The humans. They from here. We're from elsewhere. Obviously, we're closer, or we're from a planet that carries a lot of sunlight because we have solar plexus. Obviously, those solar plexus are in tune with us to raise our hair up over our head like this because heat makes things rise. So obviously, if we have a solar plexus, which obviously the human race don't, because if they did, their hair would be rising too. It would give rise to things on them, which they don't. Then obviously, like I said, we're not the same kind of people. The Amun race, like I said, when they talked about Amun as the king of gods, or the men, or the Amun Ra, the Amun rays, which I broke down means the receivers of that light or that intelligence of those Amun beings, right? Because, like I said, the word, for those of you who are not familiar with the word Amun, it's usually sealed off at the end of your prayers. And the original name for what they refer to as God and religion was Amun, which came from our people. In fact, the whole idea of religion, God and the angels and these supreme beings, because when they talk about God and the angels, all they're really talking about is people, advanced people that came from another world. They kept saying they lived in the heavens and things like that. God lived in the heavens. And, you know, black people, they take the simple-minded mentality and accept it through religion. And once the white man takes it and strains it through all his philosophies and things like that, and then it becomes religion. But when they're talking about God and angels, they're talking about people who live in another world, on another planet. We're talking about God and them live in the heavens, right? They live in the heavens. They mean, you mean they travel through the heavens, right? Because that's what our people talked about. They talked about our people traveling on the clouds and moving through the sky. Talked about our people doing that. Talked about these advanced, these supreme beings. Now, our people in the ancient worlds, they always said that they were descendants of those advanced beings, or those beings who came from the stars. They said they came from there. They never said they came from no Africa. They never said they came from no land. They said they came from outside this thing. They said they were descendants of those people out there. So what did they know about out there as opposed to here? They wasn't teaching nothing about no Africa, right? Because like I said, black people, that's their favorite thing. Black people come from Africa. Where at in Africa? Why? How come they can't tell you, they can place you in a place, because like I said, they can sit up here and say we come from Africa all they want to, but the terminology of Africa was given by your Romans, right? Because you had an abundance of black people living in that area, and you had black people prior to that living all around the world. So what does that denote? That makes you think that it was only black people was only in that area, and that black people are native to that area, and that we were born and bred and we stop at that area. That's a lie. You had black people all over the damn planet. Black people was all over the planet because at one point when the planet was a Pangea, or one landmass before the breaking, you had black people traveling from different place to different place. Black people was living in ancient America, or what they call Mesoamerica. Black people was over here. You can find influences of black people all over this place. And it couldn't have been no tribal Africans, because the majority of your tribal Africans, they stay in their regions, right? They can't tell you, like I said, they tell you that some form of evolution took place where men started turning from monkeys into people started turning from monkeys into men, right? So they know that some sort of genetic evolution took place. Did the genetic evolution of a human race happen on its own, or was it engineered by somebody? Now your scientists are starting to say, well, the way it's done, it had to be engineered by someone. But some of your scientists, they don't want to say God, and they don't want to get into the religion thing. So they say, yeah, it's some sort of thing that just happened. It just happened. No, nothing just happens. Nothing just happens. The way things, like I said, when you do stuff like that, it denotes that somebody made that happen for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. It don't just happen. Because then that would mean that, there's things like fate. Nobody controls fate. Somebody always controls your destiny. Somebody always controls what happens to you. That's a lie when they tell you that it's not. There's a reason why you're here, right? But they don't want you to know that. They want you to believe, some God zapped you here, some monkeys came from there. And like I said, there's half-truths in both stories. Yeah, we got here by the manifestation of these Amen beings, or these Omni beings, these advanced beings who were continual people, meaning that they were a continuous bloodline, right? Omni, because the word Omni is a Latin or a Greek word, I believe, and it's denoting a continuous people. However, the word Amen existed first. The word Amen existed first, right, to denote a God. And what do we teach? What do they teach you about God? They teach you that God is omnipresent, omnipotent, meaning always present, always in existence. So that means God can't have a time frame, or the supreme being, or this man and these people that created life here, because life had to be seated here on this planet, just like it was seated elsewhere. These people don't have a time frame. And it would only make sense that if they left their people here, if they left a remnant of their genetic here, it would make sense that would be a people that would be considered an outcast of people. Wouldn't it make sense that the people that don't look like nobody here would be the bloodline descendants of that God race, being that this God race left a remnant of their bloodline here? Wouldn't that qualify as black people, people who hair growing up in the air different from everybody else's? Wouldn't it make sense that black people are descendants of their Omni race? Wouldn't it make sense that how fast these people move, how uncoordinated they are, how they think, how they move, everything is different from everybody else? Wouldn't it not make sense that these people, these so-called black people, are descendants of those race of gods, those race of supreme beings? No, that don't make sense, right? We all the same. You want to believe that, You want to believe that we all the same. You can believe whatever you want to in the name of this whole we are the world mentality, You know, it sounds good in the mindset of this this we are the world mentality, but look at how we treat it. That tells you everything. See, common sense, logic, keen observation, paying attention will tell you everything about a situation. See, you can get people to be analytical all they want to and use certain terminologies and, oh, where you get this from and where you get that from. What you're really looking for is the white man to say it. You know, like he don't lie and make up stuff. He told you the Egyptians wasn't black. He told you that they wasn't these carbon-coded people, because when he says black, he's really saying carbon people. He's differentiating brown melanin from black carbonated carbon people, because that's really why he's saying it. You understand? He refers to you as black because he knows that you are carbon-based people. Trust me, he did the research and the experience. He's been experimenting on black people. He's been trying to find out where you came from. Been doing that. That's why he refers to you as black people, because you're people of the carbon genetic. And he refers to the others as the melanin or the brown melanin people, because he knows they are of the melanocyte people that he was talking about, or that melanin race of people, that they are artificial, watered-down derivative of your black carbon people, because our skin is not black. It's a brown, but it's a different type of brown. It is not the same as the East Indians and the Mexicans and all that, obviously. The texture is different. The hair is different. The features are different. We are a continuous race of people. Why? Because we carry a solar plex. And in the fact that we carry a solar plex or a soul, we know what? That's energy. Soul represents what? Equals energy. Yes? If soul equals energy, then that means, and energy cannot be destroyed, then that means the energy is continuous, eternal, omnipresent, and omnipotent. Hello? Thus, your Amen beings, your men, your powerful men or mental beings, right? Your continuous or powerful mental beings. How are you? Because the word in the ancient Kemetic, I believe it was like powerful. So in order for there to be a power in you, that means there has to be a combustion. And a combustion denotes what? Fire. Right? It denotes fire. That's what denotes power. So when I say those powerful men and those powerful women, those are men and our women, no one can denote that we are combustible or powerful or solar connected people. Now people will say, oh, well, the word hue, right? The word hue, that means us because we are human and we got hue and color to our skin, right? No. The original word for hue in the ancient Kemetic, because the word hue comes from the ancient Kemetic, it meant created people. Created. Hue means to create. Now, if you go with the whole thing of the hue meaning color, then that would fit your first colored people. Your first colored people, or your colored versions of white people, because when they was calling us colored, that didn't even make sense. The first colored version of people was your East Indians. They're your colored version of white people. Right? Are they not colored versions or brown versions of white people? So if you're teaching that these people are colored, and you're teaching about a colored people or a hue people, then that would fit your East Indians. They're your humans. You know? We are, those men are carbon beings. Your hue man is a colored man. Your East Indians are your first humans, your first colored people, your first artificial beings that were created from a natural manifestation. The ones where Elijah Muhammad tried to explain that the brown germ came out of the black germ. He was just explaining. He didn't use the correct. He was trying to use the right terminology, but it was right and exact when he said that the brown germ came out of the black germ. He was talking about how those omni beings or those almond beings who were the carbon-based people created your human race or your artificial race, which became your melanated people. That's what he was explaining, how they took from their genetic and added it with their animals, the hybrid animals that were evolving to create a human race. And it said, and they blew into them the breath of life, and they became living souls, meaning that they gave them their shape, their presence, their form, and their ability to carry life. But they are not connected to a solar plex. They are the reflections of the sun. And who are the sons? Who are the per-sons? The per-sons are you, black, so-called black men and black women, carbon black people. Not melanated brown people, carbon black people. That's why they call you black people. Another reason. And also, and I'm not taking back what I said about them calling us black people because we are people in darkness or in a state of ignorance. That too. Right? Because look at what they say when they call Africa dark Africa, black Africa, because they were trying to say that the continent was based in ignorance. They were saying that the people in Africa were behind in technology and things like that, which they were right, because all the technology was coming out of the Middle East from our people, the ones who are the real descendants of our people here in America. Our people came out of the Middle East, which was north of Africa, which they call the Middle East, which is Egypt, Sumeria, Mesopotamia, the old Babylon, which is now Iraq, Israel. All that used to be black people, everything. Before the white man and all these other people came down in there and started mixing in with the people, and the Asiatics came. We're not no Asiatic people. The Asiatic people are your mountain people, the people who came from the Caucasian or the Caucasus Mountains. Even your white man is an Asiatic. That's why he's called Caucasian. Caucasian. He comes from the Asian. Who were the first Asiatics? Your East Indians. All right? These are your first humans. We are the almond beings, the omni ones. The Ah men and the Ah women. Those powerful men and women. That's why they said they spelled it as Amen, A-M-E-N, but we spelled it the way it really was, A-H, because it denoted the Ah men. And notice in the Catholic Church, when they pray and they say at the end of their prayers, Amen, they say that because they are denoting, and they're the ones who know how the ancient people, our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, the Kemites, and all them, pronounced the end of Amen's name, because they know that those people bore witness to who God really was, that they were connected to that God race. That's why it's no coincidence that in the religion they seal all their prayers with Amen or Amen, to denote that that's their way of connecting to that God race, that omni race of beings that they know exists, that they call God and the angels from out of this world, who govern everything in this society, which is why the white man puts the eye of, he calls the eye of Horus, which is really not. It's the eye of Amen in the pyramid looking down on his society, because he knows that the eye of Amen, or those Amen beings, are the ones who are judging and governing this society. That's why he put it there. It ain't got nothing to do with no Horus. That's a lie. It ain't got nothing to do with no Satan. That's a lie. That's Amen. They know the truth. They know that you are the descendants of Amen. They know that you're the descendants of that Amen race, because they didn't know that our people was the first ones to refer to Amen as the king of gods. Right? So if you have a king who is a king of the gods and he's referred to as Amen, then his race of people would be Amen. Right? They would all be named after the king. They never referred to any other gods as king gods. They referred to as Amen as the king of all gods. They so much so that they set up a priest of Amen, or what they refer to as Amun, Amun. It's all the same thing. Going all the way back to the Dogons where they were talking about Amma. Amma is Amen. It's the same person. Enki is Amen. Amen, Enki, it's all the same person. Your devil worshippers, your satanic worshippers worship Amen or Enki. It's all the same person. While they got you Negroes worshiping Jesus Christ and Allah and all these false gods that they created from those pagan gods, Yet they'll tell you, oh, Amen is a pagan god. They'll tell you that a lot. And you simple-minded Negroes, you repeat it because y'all parrots. You don't know no different. You don't know no different. Right? See, our people have to understand that we're linked to these people. We're linked to these Amen beings. This is why we suffered in this society, because we didn't know who we were. We thought we were like the humans. And they made it painfully obvious that we're not. Not just them. Nature made it painfully obvious that we're not like them. We don't smell like them. We don't get fleas in our hair like them. We don't dance like them. We don't run like them. Right? We don't think like them. And it's not to insult the human race. Though some of you Negroes think you part of the human race, that's just something in your mind because you got this we are the world mentality. But this is not to just insult the human. It's just telling the truth how it really is. If you can't stand the truth, then get the hell out the kitchen. If it's too hot for you, get out the kitchen. Like I said, they're calling us black people, yet we're not black. Our skin is not black. I said that. So why are they referring to us as black? Because that represents carbon. The blackness represents carbon. The brown gene represents hue or melanin. The black gene, the black terminology represents carbon. The brown gene or the brown gene represents hue or melanin. Hue, melanin, and you got the black carbon. The black carbon represents us, the Amen race. The hue, melanin, represents your East Indians and all the other dark races that came behind them that are not our people. Like I said, it's no coincidence. Y'all sit up here and y'all run under this nonsense about we all people of color. Well, ain't it funny how the Mexicans side with the white people and all these other races of people when something go down? Why do they side with them? Did you not hear the Mexican, because these simple-minded Israelites sit up here and talk about the Mexicans and the so-called Native Americans are our people because they got dark skin, but then you turn around and say the Africans not our people. That don't even make no damn sense. Hell, at least I said the Africans, the so-called Mexicans, and the damn so-called Native Americans, none of our people. None of them are our people. But hell, the Africans would be closer. If you're going to say that, the Africans would be closer than the so-called Mexicans and the Native Americans. They would be closer, even though they're not our people. They're part of the artificial creation too. They're not part of the natural manifestation of the Amen race that came down here as the so-called 200 fallen angels or 200 fallen messengers who were sentenced on this side. That is not a biblical story. That comes out of the Sumerian text where they were talking about that. But all of a sudden, when black people say it, when our ancient ancestors said it and talked about the Amma or the Amen beings or Amen, the setting up a priest of Amen, all of a sudden it's mythology. But when the white man say it, oh, God and Jesus exist. Why God and Jesus exist? But when when they can't even show you no God, no Jesus, but they presented a picture of Amen Ra or Amen Re, and in all those pictures they look the same. Going all the way back to the Amma, it looks just like what the Egyptians put up. Of the Amen Ra. Looks the same. Right? But our people don't accept that. They accept Jesus Christ, though. They don't want to hear everything else that it's not Jesus, that the white man say is pagan gods coming from our people. If the white man said Allah, then the Arabs, as long as it's coming from somebody else, like you uncontrolled, brain-stained Negroes who caught up in that religious belief like a bunch of zombies, you want to follow Allah, you want to follow Jesus, you don't want to accept what's being said here because it's coming from a so-called, quote-unquote, black man, a carbon being. You under the spell of the human being and his philosophy and his theory, which all he did was take and flip it around and call it something else. And got you in this spiritual mindset. He took you from a soul mindset or a solar intelligence and flipped you into a spiritual belief, where now you a zombie believing in his false gods, his false Christ. You understand? And that's what happened with our people. You got this idea that you're part of the human race, right? This is why you're falling down with the human race. You already on the bottom. You already on the bottom, because and you're going to stay on the bottom as long as you keep on believing that you're part of these people. Again, it goes back to Minister Inky again. I want to thank you, Minister Inky, for inspiring this show, because you couldn't get inspired if you were really an almond being. Because he said, oh, is that almond being terminology just for your people? I said, no, it's the black race. But unfortunately, black people like you, carbon-based people like you, believe that you are part and parcel with the human race. Because, like I said, had the white man said, oh, blacks are really almond beings and that they're connected to this, had the white man put it on ancient aliens or put it on something that he came up with this scientific, the white man would have said what I said? Trust me, Minister Inky and all them other Negroes, the conscious Negroes, oh, yeah, we're not human, we're almond beings. But because I said it, my black behind said it, oh, you made that up. But like I said, the white man didn't make up carnivore and omnivore and herbivore. He didn't make that up. No. It just dropped. It just popped into Minister Inky's head. It popped just like all these other things pop into you Negroes' head that you learned from the white man. But like I said, I want to apply logic and intelligence to it, because the truth is right in front of our face. And the ones who are skilled enough to piece it together and see, piece it together and see that we're not part of these people, like I said, that's what they're talking about when you see those people who have the name of Amen or God in their forehead, which is Amen, versus those people who have the mark of the beast. All this is prophecy. When you talk about in the book of Revelation, when it said in the end and the beginning and the new beginning, you're going to have the elect gathered up who have the mark of God in their forehead, which is Amen, and the mark of the beast, which is your human race. They're going to be under the submental frequency of your human race and their false gods and their false theory and belief. And then you're going to have those who are on the omni-mental connection with the almond beings, with Amen himself, and they're going to realize that they are the almond beings, and they're going to wake the hell up as the elect. Now, like I said, this language is not common amongst the human. God or Amen, I should say, Amen's language is not meant to be. It's going to only be for the elect. And the elect will get this, but if you're of the human mentality, then you're not going to get it, because you're waiting for for the white man to say something. Like I said, that's still a slave mentality in these Negroes. That's still a master-slave dynamic working on black people, because you place him and his terminology is above anything else, and it don't even have to make sense. You play and you'll call it science. You'll try to find some reason to put it in an authoritarian range, just so you can reach for it and grab onto it and hold it and act like it's yours and act like it's gospel, like it's written in stone because the white man said it. That's still your slave mentality. You understand? That's your slave mentality. And I don't care how many of you Negroes claim you're not slaves mentally. If you still following Islam, if you still following Christianity, if you still following Israelitism or Judaism, if you still following Pan-Africanism, if you still following Masonry, if you still following metaphysics or any of these, whatever else you following from the old millennium, the old cultures, which came from the white man, the human race, which came from their submental and limited mindset, then you are not of the almond race. No, you're not. You're of the human race. Now, Minister Inky and them can make a joke about that all you want to, but like I said, it ain't all that funny, because he told that lie on here talking about, oh, well, Africans was the first ones who came up with some vegetarian diet. No, they wasn't, and you never named them. You telling lies, Minister Inky. And then I posted up the thing, since you listen to the white man. Listen to the white man now when he tells you that the Greeks were the first ones that came with that mindset of not eating any meat or any fish or anything. They the first ones that came with the vegetarian diet. Not no Africans. Because all I know, the Africans was always eating meat. Whether our people was in the East eating fish and birds, or whether they was in Africa eating damn goats and cows or whatever the hell, and bulls or whatever the hell they was eating over there. But they was always eating meat. Nobody was eating no damn fruit, just fruit and any vegetables. That's a lie. You understand? But like I said, if you sound analytical, if you repeat and say the same things, right? If you repeat and say the same things, right? If you repeat and say the same thing over and over again, you know, if you repeat the same things over and over again and you sound analytical about it, then you can fool people into believing what you say. If you repeat the same things And like I said, I don't have anything against any research, anything the white man does, anything. And I said that yesterday. I don't have anything against the white man or anybody. But if you're going to apply or use any logic, use any statements from the white man's so-called scientific statements or scientific findings from the white man, then it has to make sense logically. You have to be able to apply logic to it in order for it to stand up. In other words, if I ask you questions, logical questions, see, because that used to be the power and the bargaining chip with our people and the reasoning chip and understanding whether things were true or false. We would apply logic to it, which we don't do no more. Here's what we do. We take what somebody tells us, usually somebody white, you understand? And because we so used to them being an authoritarian figure, we're so used to them making the curriculum in our school that we then look to them as the one word and final authority on everything, and that's it. We never question it. But see, in that almond race, in those omni beings, that represents the light of man, the new light of man, aka the sons of man. The sun, S-O-N-S-U-N, those almond rays are going to start to question everything now. We in that era right now. We have to start questioning everything. Who we are, who they are, what we're supposed to be eating, where we moving forward to. Yeah. We in that era now. If our people are not doing that, if our people are not in that mindset, then you know what? If people are advocating that thing like I put up there on Facebook, don't ask no questions. Like I put up there in Minister Society, don't ask no questions. You know what I mean? Just give me the money. Or just accept what I got to say. No, we're not doing that. No, thank you. No good. No good. We're not accepting, we omnivores and we carnivores and our mouths move in a circle or whatever names you take from the white man. Then when ᴘᴇᴏᴘᴜ says the almond beings or the omni beings or the continuous ones or the eternal ones, all of a sudden where you get that from? Where you get omnivore and carnivore from? But it ain't good enough coming from me. It ain't good enough. And when I say all this is linked up by the fact that they can't find any origins or traces of our people here on this planet. They can't find no animal that we link to, because that's where your humans, archaeologists first start to look. They start to look by the presence of animal DNA or that which is related to animals in human beings or in people. That's how they see who's the oldest or what's relative to that animal. That's how they begin to trace or find a bloodline link to the connection of people, because they always want to know, how did these things happen? They still have not been able to answer that question about black people, and the answers they've been given are BS. So this is usually what the white man does when he doesn't really have an answer for something. He'll start to just tell lies. His scientists start telling lies. That now all of a sudden we come from monkeys and whatnot, and we ain't been able to prove that. Because the last time I turned around, that thing they pushed, you know, at least that message that they pushed, it wasn't able to hold water. That whole thing from monkeys, and they still ain't answered the question of where black people came from. So obviously that tells you, if you can't find the origins of black people, so-called black people here on Earth, then obviously it ain't here on Earth. If you find carbon being generated from generating all your minerals and elements being generated here on the planet from the sun, and we got solar plexus, hello, obviously we're not from here. We were transported here. We were transported here, aka manifested here. We didn't come from out of the water. We wasn't in the creational stage. We didn't come from no dirt, no damn ground. No dust to the ground, that Adam and Eve story, which is really the creation of the human race. We didn't come from there. We don't have no origin on this planet. We are the omni race, the almond race, the powerful ones, the powerful eternal beings, omnipresent, omnipotent, almond beings, not human. Humans were created. They are your artificial race of beings, the created ones, the ones with melanin,
which is an artificial coating of carbon, an artificial water-based coloring from carbon. The black, from the black germ to the brown germ. That's what that meant. Not they come out of us and this, that, and the third. Because if they really felt connected to us, why would they treat you like that? Why did they not treat the East Indians like that? Why do they marry with the East Indians, treat them like their brother? Why do they run over there to India? They do business with the East Indians and everything. Why do the East Indians treat you, act like y'all ain't dumb? If we all got the same, hold on. Now, Minister Inky said, if we got the same melanin in our skin, he stumbled in, if we got the same melanin, then why do East Indians treat you like racist like that against you? Because East Indians are racist as hell against black people. They racist as hell. They just as bad as your white people when it comes to with that racism. I'm gonna go back to that thing where I said, down there in Mississippi, I said, remember that movie? I'm gonna say this again. Go back and look at that movie Mississippi Masala, the one where Denzel Washington played in, and he was messing around with the East Indian woman in the movie. Mississippi Masala. I want you to pick that movie up. The movie is made in the 90s, and Denzel Washington was a movie about him living in Mississippi messing with an East Indian woman. Her family came over from Uganda because there was a lot of Indians in Africa, and they came over and they moved to Mississippi, and they owned a liquor store, and the other East Indians owned hotels and all kinds of other stuff in Mississippi, and that was really happening down there in the deep South where you got the Ku Klux Klan and all these other people. Check this out now. They got all these people in Mississippi, the Ku Klux Klan and all of them, and you got the East Indians down there owning hotels and stuff like that. Have you ever heard the East Indians being hung by the Ku Klux Klan? Have you ever heard the East Indians ever having problems? Yet they got the same melanin, and it's a skin thing, right? It's because our skin is black or dark or whatever. Like the East Indians, we all the same people. We all people of color. That nonsense you Negroes talk, right? We all the same, right? How come you never heard about no East Indian boys getting hung off trees or killed, right? And your East Indians been down there since the 60s and the 70s. They've been there. They've been down there, actually since the 70s, and they were owning stores and things like that. How come the white man didn't give them no problem? In fact, the damn white man said in the movie, and that was, I guess it was real. They wrote it down. They said the white man said when the East Indian man found out that his daughter was messing with a black man, which he had a problem with, he didn't like it. He said, "Yeah, I hear you having a problem with the niggas." That's what he said to the East Indian. Now, why didn't he say, "Oh, you a nigga too," since you got the same skin color as the so-called black people? Because they know the white man knows that that's their people. He knows that the East Indians are their people. In fact, when Hitler traced back the genetics of the so-called Aryan race, he traced the word Aryan back to the East Indians. He traced his origin, the origin of the so-called blonde-haired, blue-eyed people, Aryans, right back to the East Indians. Look it up. The word Aryan is an East Indian or Sanskrit word. So the white man knows the origin of where he come from. You don't. But have Minister Inky tell it, we all the same. We all the same. We'll be right back.
See, this is a reason why a lot of our people are not going to make it, and not going to make it as the elect. Like I said, a lot of our people are mixed down with the beast. They have his mentality. That's why when he says something, his lies come out, right? The human lie, right? They can't help but to follow their slave master. They can't help but to follow their slave master. The beast can't help but to follow his slave master, right? Because they love their slave master, right? They love their slave master. They love the beast. They are on his submental frequency. That's why when he says something, they just naturally accept it. They naturally accept it. He tell you about God and Jesus and Allah and all that. You accept it. You accept it because a lot of your mentality, y'all still vibrate on his submental frequency. He tell you about you African, y'all believe it like a bunch of jackasses. He tell you are African, yet he named the continent Africa and calling people Africans. You believe it like a bunch of jackasses, right? So why would he bring people to this place here, America,
He tell you he brought all of y'all over here. You don't think that you was, a lot of our people were already here already, right? And he just enslaved the people that was here. Brought some of those our people over there, and we related to those people. But like I said, he tell you African, you African. He tell you African American, you African American. Whatever he tell you are, that's what you are, and that's it, right? He tell you that you Muslim, you Muslim. Tell you Christian, you Christian. You didn't, never mind how you came about it. So when ᴘᴇᴏᴘᴜᴜ comes, the intellectual ᴘᴇᴏᴘᴜᴜ comes and says, you know what? No, we're not what you are. It is impossible for us to share a God with you. It is impossible for us to share a Jesus with you. It is impossible for us to share an Allah with you. It's an impossibility for us to share a body chemistry and body makeup and type with you. No, we don't. It is impossible for us to consider ourselves human with you, because too much evidence points to the fact that we're not human. Too much evidence points to it. Too much evidence points to the fact that we're not like these people, right? Now, what black people need to do, some of our people are starting to take up independent study and starting to find out that, no, there are a lot of differences in our genetic from theirs. There's a lot of differences in our genetics from theirs. And we haven't even scratched the surface yet. I said you're going to find the origin of the so-called black genetic, you know what I mean, linked to the reptile. I said we are reptilians. I'm going to just say it like it is. We have the reptilian genetic in us because we took the reptilian DNA that was here in the ground from when the dinosaurs were here for millions of years, right? We took on that form and that frame when we came as light beings here to the planet, and we started to take on flesh. The first flesh that we took on that generated around our light or our aura or our solar plex or our solar energy was the reptilian genetic. So we took on the reptilian genetic in our DNA, and it's still there. Yeah, we are reptiles. We got their DNA. They were here first. So if you're talking about the dust of the ground and taking some dust off of the ground and whatnot, like I said, that manifestation, when we came into this atmosphere, we took that bacteria that was in the earth, and it was attached to us. That was your magnetic attraction of bacteria to that light or that magnetic light that's on us called the soul. It was their DNA, the reptilian DNA, right? However, we were able to jumpstart it up, speed it up to where it looks like how we look right now, right? We were able to speed it up to where we look like now. But you'll still see some Negroes who got a reptilian look to them. You'll still see it. Some of them haven't sped up in their genetic. We still have things left over from the reptilian genetic that was here. That's why our immune systems were so strong at one time. So-called black people, and I'm not talking about your Africans who had sickle cell anemia. I'm talking about black people. When we were in the East, in the Middle East, we didn't get any sicknesses. We didn't have any degenerate diseases and all kinds of cancer and all kind of Rᴜᴜ, all these weird and strange diseases from the humans. That the diseases we got, Down syndrome, all this stuff came from the mixing in with the humans. We didn't have these diseases. We didn't have strange diseases. We didn't have Alzheimer's. We didn't have cancer. We didn't have all these things from the humans. The reason why your humans have all these diseases, your whites, your East Indians, and your Asians, all these diseases and these genetic defects is because they were part of an experiment. And there were certain mistakes in the creation of the human race. That's why you see the genetic defects. That's why if you notice, you'll see some of your humans coming out with 2 hind legs and dog legs and fur all over their face, all that. That shows you that they come from the animal genetic. And so it's a disease called hirutism. Look it up. People coming out, some of your humans can't even stand up. Some of them got all fours. Some of them born with tails. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad talked about that. We didn't have this stuff, right? Bestiality, all kind of madness, because that's the human genetic. That's the human genetic. I'm going to take a call. 954, you're on the air. 954. 954, you're on the air. Okay, nothing from 954. 954, you're on the air. Hello? Hello? 954, okay. No. You're going to have to call back 954. Something wrong with your line if you had a question. All right? All right. If you have a question, 954, call back on a better line. But there's a reason why we didn't have, we had the strongest genetics on the planet, because that's the reptilian genetic in us. Your reptilians are the only ones that have a very strong genetic. That's why I talked about the ostrich and these things, because those have a very strong DNA or strong immune system. We have strong immune systems because our immune systems come from the reptiles. We have reptilian DNA in us. We didn't have all these sicknesses, right? We have reptilian DNA, and we have the solar plex power going through us as almond beings. This Superman story that they making, that is a total ripoff of the almond race. That's a total ripoff of who we are. I told y'all a long time ago, before they came out with this movie, that they were going to come out with this movie, that S on Superman's chest is a serpent. Now, what happened? In 2013, the movie coming out, next month? They got the serpent on his chest, which denotes the reptilian. Look at his suit. It looks like reptile skin. That's talking about our people, right? The three sons of Amun, or the three sons that they talking about, red sun, yellow sun, blue sun. That was what the priest of Amun wore in ancient Egypt. Red, blue, and yellow. Look at the colors in Egypt. Red, blue, and yellow. Same color Superman wear from a tri-solar system in which he came from. That's all our story. That's our history. It's not no mythology. That's all linked to Egypt and going back to the Amun beings, right? The bright race. That's all linked to us, the carbon-based people who carry the reptilian DNA and the genetic, the Amun people. But hey, the white man didn't say it, so, that ain't real. No matter how much logic I apply to it, it don't matter to the people who are blind, deaf, and dumb, who got the mark of the beast on them, like a lot of these Negroes who sitting around here. Oh, I know what we human. We all the same. You got the mark of the beast on you. That's why you think like that. No matter what you see, I could talk about how our hair grow, and it's all proven fact. Look at us. You don't have to, but they looking for the white man to say it. Even if the white man said it, they still not going to accept it. If it's something against him or something, they'll accept it when the white man say it, I should say. And even then, they're going to still have this mentality like, no, master, I'm the same as you. We all the same. They're going to still have that mentality. See, and people look at this like, oh, you're talking against white people. You're trying to talk. That's not about bashing white people. It's not about that. It's about the truth about who we are. Now, in order to get to the truth about who we are, you got to break a few eggs. It's like they say, when you got to make a cake, you got to break a few eggs. Same thing when you're talking about the truth of who we are as the almond beings. You have to dispel the myth that we are human beings. You have to dispel that lie. So in order to do that, you have to break a few human eggs. In other words, you have to break a few taboos. You got to tell a few truths, tell a lot of truth in order to, and show by observation, because I can't wait. I'm sorry if you Negroes don't like it. I'm not going to sit around and wait for the white man to write something down and then wait till he say it before I make this assertion or this statement. If it came through me to say, then it was meant for my people to hear. You rest of you Negroes that got this human, we are the world, we people of color, we all the same mentality, this is not for you. You're not going to accept it anyway. You are the blind, deaf, and dumb. You're not going to accept none of the logic. You're not going to pay attention to it. You'll accept what you want, willing to accept until it comes from a white man. Because to you, that's a reputable source. In other words, that's a source that can be respected. You understand? Yeah. That's the only source that can be respected according to you. So if that's the only source that can be respected to you, then you got a problem. Because that same source told you, he'll call you a monkey, say our people are monkeys, we come from monkeys. And like I said, you ain't gonna see no monkey with no afro. That's what they was teaching, we monkeys. And the white man was calling us monkeys and saying we primates and we prime people. Could check out the language. He's saying that we prime people and that, and now he's trying to say we was the first. Okay, he'll say we was the first people. Life started in Africa with the blacks, but then we evolved and got smarter and we became white people. That's what they teaching. And you simple-minded Negroes, y'all gonna follow that, and you're gonna be yeah, they right. See, because that's what scientists say. Same scientists who said the Egyptians wasn't black, standing there looking at these Negroes with brown faces, big lips, and broad noses, women with afros on their head, Queen T and all them, but they not black, right? They Arabs. Looking at the Olmecs, talking about some Mexican coming on here talking some madness about, that's our people. That's they people. Damn afro, big nose, big lips and whatnot, round faces, and you got some simple-minded Negro coming up here talking about, oh yeah, you saying we some fat-faced Native Americans. Yeah, that's the stupidity of the damn black man coming out. The ignorance of the damn black man. Right? Yeah. But you know what? It don't even matter. The truth gonna come out anyway. Way after, and when the truth come out, and it's coming out gradually, because it always do. The truth always come to light. But the first one to bring the truth is the one with the light. The truth always comes to light, but like I said, the first one who brings the truth is the one with the light. Then everybody else, like I said, it'll go over the majority of the so-called black races' heads till the white man say it, and then next thing you know, they'll turn around. Yeah, but they won't use the word I use, and bing. They won't use that. They'll use something else. And then Negroes will just be saying what I said, but then they'll wait for the white man to say it. They'll wait for the white man to say it. If I came up with a terminology for meat eaters, vegetable eaters, and all this other stuff, people like Minister Inky and them would be like, oh, well, you came up with that. You came up with that by yourself? In other words, nigga, what you doing thinking? That's the white man's job. That's their mentality. That's really what that translates into. Nigga, what you doing thinking? That's the white man's job. When he say that? That's the mentality. Raw and uncut. That's the mentality. If I'm thinking and it makes sense, that's how you know. Because, and like I said, these Negroes don't look to see if it makes sense, because they mentality is you telling a lie. You making that up. But the white man said he telling the truth. Right? No matter how much logic I apply to this, it don't mean nothing to the white man say it. And that's the majority of you niggas in America and around the world. I'm going to call you just like that. I use the word nigga because that's the nigga mentality. Unless the white man say it, y'all ain't. It's a lie coming from you. No matter how much sense it make, the white man telling a lie or making up for some theory or whatever, or coming with some false belief is more valid to these niggas than a black man, a so-called black man, coming with the truth, coming with a logical assertion or statement himself that makes sense. That's more, that's more valid. They'll sit up here and believe the white man's lie over the black man's truth. Because they good damn slaves. They good slaves. They're going to believe we part of the human race. They're going to believe that there's no almond race. They're going to believe that. Though I showed you and I linked it to it. I'm sorry the white man didn't say, I'm sorry, I just can't wait for him. We're not those kind of people. We're thinkers. We're not believers. We're thinkers in the state of mental. When I referred to the almond race, I was talking about all of the black race or the almond race. I didn't say just the state of mental. However, you got a lot of sleep almond beings. You got a lot of mentally dead almond beings out here who are just out here vibrating on a submental frequency under the guise of belief, under the guise of theory, under the guise of following the authority or the authoritarian mindset. The same people who write your children's curriculum in school, the same people who write your textbooks, who do the research or say they do the research, and just tell you or dictate to you what you're going to be thinking next year or what new discoveries they're going to put out next year for you Negroes to sit up here and repeat like a bunch of damn parrots. Minister Inky. You understand that? You understand that? And I'm not taking shots at the brother. I'm not taking shots at the brother. But I find it sad and I find it disgusting when you got Negroes who have a problem with other people thinking. Got a problem with people that look like them thinking independently on their own, trying to figure this thing out, trying to take a second and logically go through it. Because if you listen to that broadcast last night, that's what was trying to be stopped. People want to push a belief to you. They want to push a doctrine to you. They want to push a theory to you with no logical connection to it. Because like I said, the white man ain't going to tell you everything. So if you're looking for him to tell you, if you're going in, because you Negroes are so used to saying, oh, well, where do you read that from? Where's the proof in that? What you're looking for is the white man to say it. I'm giving it to you logically so you can put it together yourself, so you can observe and pay attention to what's going on here. I'm giving you strings of intelligence so you can put it together yourself and logically see it as I'm drawing it out for you. I'm not trying to convince you to believe anything. You ain't got to accept nothing I'm saying. I didn't ask you to believe me. I asked you to think based on what I put in front of you. It's like an old exercise in intelligence. If somebody puts some blocks in front of you, right, or put some blocks and circles and things, squares in front of you, and tell you to put the blocks and squares in the hole, you're going to look based on observation, and you're going to look to decide which fits what, and you're going to start dropping them in the holes. You don't need no goddamn textbook to tell you, drop it in this hole, drop it in that hole. You're going to have, this requires you to look, think, and observe, and do. So when we tell you something, when I share intelligence, not information, when I share intelligence with my people about the Amun race, about us coming from this omni race of beings or this advanced race of people, these people that have no origin on earth, as being the descendants of these omnipresent, omnipotent people who came before the creation of the planet, who were moving in space, in the universe, on their own planet, before the creation of the solar system, before the creation of the planet, before the creation of all the planets, before the creation of the human race and everything on this planet. When I talk about those people who came before time, you're omni people, and will be here after time is no more, because time is only dictated by the rotation of the planet around the sun. When I talk about those people, those advanced people who obviously started things in motion, who obviously had to be more advanced than man, advanced than human, you understand? Obviously had to be a whole other species of being. Then it starts to make sense now. Then it starts to make sense that they obviously had to be a race of solar beings, because they created a solar system. They created a biological structure, a logical structure. They created combustion in your chest, black man and black woman. But see, y'all don't want to hear that, because it's not God and it's not Jesus and Allah and that madness, that lunar religion. They created a combustible race of people in your black people, your black man and black woman, your carbon-based people, not your melanin people. We are not melanin people. We are not melanated people. That's your East Indians. That's your Mexicans and your East Indians and your so-called Native Americans, who are really Asians. They're all Asiatic people, from your East Indians to your so-called Chinese to your white people. They're all Asiatic people from the Caucasus Mountains, who were created on this planet out of a single-celled amoeba that was dropped into the water by those omni beings, those almond race of beings, to create a worker race or a slave race of people. That's where they came from. That story, where they talk about that story, that account of the first people created to work the human race from the Sumerian texts of Enki and Enlil, that's real. Because they took that very same account. We don't refer to it as a story. They took that very same account and put it in the Bible. Why would they do that? Why would they put that account of the creation of human beings by these God beings or this God race of beings? Why would they put that in the Bible if it was a lie and it was based in myth? It's the same story verbatim. Ask the white man. Since y'all so much up on believing what the white man say, ask him, is that same story, or those people, your theologians, or just don't even go past it. Read the story of the Anunnaki from the Enuma Elish and the Gilgamesh epic, how they came here, why they created man, this, that, and the third. Go beyond Zechariah Stitchins. Or if you want to take his word for it, fine. Read the story of the Anunnaki and what they came here for, why they created man. Then read the biblical story about how they created man as a slave to do work for them. How they created the human race, mankind as slaves to do work for them, which were your black people, your almond beings, are those Anunnaki. And the first creation of the first man they made, well, first was your primitive Africans. Then they created your East Indians, and everybody else came out of the East Indian or the human race. They created these people to work. You understand that? The so-called black race here in North America, South America, Central America, and all over the world, who are not of the primitive Africans, you are descendants of that almond race of beings that came here called 200 fallen messengers. Y'all are descendants of those people that created the human race. You understand that? And they know that. Your theologians know that. Your scientists know that. That's why they wanted and your Masons, all the people know that you're connected to those God race of beings. That's why they wanted to throw you into slavery as payback. Because they know that they were supposed to be the slave race. Your humans were supposed to be the slave race. You are descendants of those almond beings. They were called Anunnaki by the Sumerians, ᴘᴇᴏᴘ by the Egyptians. In this day and time, which was always their name, almond, a race. You understand that? A God race, an advanced race, an omni race of continuous beings. Wake up. Wake up. Pay attention. That's why I refer to the so-called black race as the almond beings, not human, because you were not part of the creation. You were not a part of the creation. And that's why they can't find no origins of the black race on the planet. They don't know where you came from. That lie about you came from Africa, where in Africa? Where? Where exactly in Africa did black people come from? How did they get here? Did they just pop here? Did they come from monkeys? Did they come from apes? Where the hell did the black man and black woman come from in Africa? I want the scientists to call up here, or you simple-minded Negroes, you so-called educated Negroes who sit up here and believe that nonsense. I want you to call and tell me, if you don't think what I'm saying is the truth, you tell me where black people came from. Because the whole idea of Africa came from the Romans. There was no Africa till they started separating the colonies and taking colonies and enslaving the people. That's when the whole Africa thing came up. Asia, Europe, all that came from them. They called it these names. There was no Africa prior to them calling it that. It was just a bunch of people in different places. And they were tribal people that worried about their sections. But see, your Pan-African people don't want to tell you that truth. They don't want to tell you that. But go look at that. Go look at what's the name? Go look at the documentary Hidden Colors. They told the truth in there. And a lot of your Pan-Africans had a problem with it because they on that Africa crap that came from the white man. The very same white man that they claim, oh, black power and they against. Yeah, right. There's a reason why you can't find melanin anywhere on the planet, right? But you can find carbon on the planet. There's a reason why you cannot find melanin on the planet, but you can find carbon. I'm going to tell you why. Because carbon, like other elements, were transported here by the sunlight. They were grown here on the earth. They were transported here, and they were generated here by sunlight on the earth, carbon, along with other minerals, right, in the earth. We are carbon beings. So we were part of that transportation. Our genetic, our DNA, right? Our genetic, our DNA. Your reptiles had carbon in them. They were carbon-based water beings and beings in the water and earthbound beings and things like that. They were carbon. They had carbon in them. That's how they're able. If you notice, that's how they're able to tell how old a person is by carbon dating. Right? They carbon date. So you, as old as the carbon is, how far back does it go to the dinosaurs? That's how they're able to tell how old a dinosaur is. And when they do a dinosaur, they carbon date the bones. They carbon date the DNA. That's how they know that the white race and all of them are genetic mutations. Because melanin, as I said,
The reason you don't find melanin is because on the earth and any rocks or any of this other stuff or any elements or any minerals, because there's no mineral so known as melanin. The reason why is because melanin is an artificial derivative of carbon. Your scientists are not going to tell you that, but in time they will. It's an artificial derivative of melanin, a water-based derivative. All right? Melanin is a water-based artificial derivative of carbon. That's why you can find carbon on the earth as a mineral or an element, right? You can find carbon, but you can't find melanin because there is no melanin. Element. It's made up. It's a derivative. It's an artificial color derivative of carbon, which was put into your humans to protect them from sunlight or give them some form of protection from sunlight. Those people were your East Indians. That's why they're melanated people. We're not them. We came here by way of transportation, just by simple science. We came, if the carbon came here through the reptilians and we picked up that carbon, right? They carried it in their genetic and we had it transported through us, then that means that we were beamed here too. We had that DNA. We picked up that DNA on the planet. It was generated here in us first, and then we picked up their DNA as well, which had it in there too. That's why they do carbon dating. They were doing carbon dating on black people trying to find out how old they are, and they still couldn't find it. They still can't find the point of origin for black people with the carbon dating. You would have to have carbon in you to be able to be dated. Right? They're able to tell you where these people come from. Like, men think you got one thing right. The white race, the East Indian, they do have melanin. They do have forms of melanin. Your white race has the lowest form of melanin, but your East Indians actually have the highest form. We are carbon-based people, two totally different color sources. Black carbon, black people. Brown melanin, brown people, your East Indians. Your Mexicans and all these other people of color, where y'all keep grouping yourself and then calling yourself people of color. Stop that madness. We are a totally different manifestation. We're not part of the creation. You understand that? We are not part of the creation here. We were not fashioned in the image of anyone. The humans were fashioned in the image of us. The humans were fashioned in the image of us, an artificial image of us. We are the natural ones. They are the artificial ones. Your East Indians, your Asians, and your white. And everything that comes, anything else, any other subclasses of race of people that come or within the human race come from those three groups. Even though your white race is a genetic mutation of the Asiatics, which are your East Indians. Right? So are your Asians. We have nothing to do with any of these people. We are alone and have no partners. We are by ourselves. Black race, aka bright race, advancing into from the black race into the bright race. We will always carry that carbon coding, but we're supposed to be going through a higher evolution right now. That higher evolution is supposed to denote a mental explosion, right? A solar enlightenment, right? A state of solar connection. That solar connection dictates your mental connection. That nonsense about we have melanin in our brain and we don't have no goddamn melanin in our brain. We have carbon in our brain. Right? We have carbon in our brain that was generated here by sunlight. That's why it reacts to sunlight. That's why when you don't receive sunlight, your energy is down. And your thoughts can be frazzled from not enough sunlight because it's supposed to make the carbon in your brain react. You understand? It's supposed to make the carbon in your brain react. You don't have any melanin in your skin. That's a lie.
Or else you look like all these other people with melanin. Why don't the black man look like the East Indian? Why don't the black man look like the Mexican? But that's for people who can't see, the people who are blind, deaf, and dumb, the people who are blind, the people who have the mark of the beast. See, the mark of the beast meaning that he has his philosophy, his theory, his beliefs overshadowing your mind in a state of submental confusion, whereas you can't think because you've accepted his beliefs. He's replaced your thinking process with his beliefs. He's replaced your thinking process, your ability to process, your ability to think with belief. And you notice the Negroes that come in the name, try to do the same thing he do, like what you saw the other night. In other words, I can't ask you questions, right? I can ask you questions and you don't want to answer them. Why? You just want me to believe what you say. Ain't that right, Minister Stinky? You wanted me to believe you. Don't ask you no questions. Oh, you're trying to gloss over things. You keep going over things. Yeah, because I want you to say what I think I heard you just say. I want to clarify. That's what we do. We take things in, we run it through the memory as we're supposed to. We think about it. We analyze it. We rationalize it. And we come out and we compute whether it's true or false based on the rationale of it. That's how that works. Not, oh, I'm going to tell you something, then let's move on. No, nigga, no. No, nigga, no. No, we're going to listen to what you said, and if it don't make sense, if we run it through the brain mill, if we run it through it runs through the brain, it runs through our mind, it runs through, and we rationalize, and we thinking, and we are, we just milling this over, and we rationalizing it, and we running it through over and over again, and it just don't make sense. It don't add up. For you math buffs and you 5%ers who talking about mathematics supposed to add up. If it don't add up, then we know you're telling a lie. See, but for the people, just like how religion works, they want you to believe them. Don't think about it. Just believe. That's why I put that post up there, and I said I dedicated that to Minister Inky when I was making the joke about the church scene in Minister Society. Don't be a Minister Society while drinking your juice in the hood. But I took they do how the preachers do it, and that's real. Don't ask no questions. Just give me your money. Don't ask no questions. Don't ask the questions. Just believe what I told you to believe. That goes against our nature. We're supposed to be skeptical people. We're supposed to ask questions. If somebody telling you not to ask no questions, then that means they trying to lie to you. If they trying to, they want to conceal certain things, yet they telling you and advocating something to you to follow or buy from them. If they telling you certain things, but you can't ask no questions about how it's made or how it's processed, how it's fertilized, then that means something's up. Something's up. I mean, we're going to start thinking like that. I can't tell you what I put in the stuff that grows my crops, but I want you to buy them and eat them. Really? You got to be crazy. You got to be crazy. You got to be kidding me. That's the same thing as, oh, Jesus and God is real. Okay, prove that. Where did Jesus exist at? Where was he at? Oh, don't worry about all that. He just real. I know he real. No, I want you to tell me and prove that he's real. Show me a picture. I want to see a picture, not that made-up picture of Jupiter and Zeus, that white man, or you Negroes coming up with your own version of Jesus, telling lies. You understand? I want to know where this man was at. I want to know why is his story go hand in hand with the horror story and all these other stories from ancient Egypt, which is older. I'm going to start deducing. Them stories was copied. They were made up and copied. Those accounts were copied into stories. I'm going to just start to think and deduce. See, that's something the black man don't do and the black woman don't do. That's something they've been wanting us to stop doing, that is thinking. And a lot of you Negroes, you have accomplished that. You have accomplished not thinking anymore. You just believe in their theories and their philosophies, and you accept it. Well, we not as the almond race. Yes, we are the almond race. We are not part of the human race, and I stand on that. And I want somebody to come up here and challenge that. You understand that? I stand on it all day till I can't stand no more that we not part of the human race. I said it, and I wasn't trying to hide it. That's a staple of our teaching, of our intelligence, logically. So that's it. The end. I spoke about the almond race and why I utilize that terminology, so I'm going to answer these questions before I get out of here. All right, so. And by the way, I didn't use the word almond because it's linked to Egypt, because that word didn't come from Egypt. It came through Egypt, not from those people. All right? Why does the intellectual ğᴜᴍᴜᴘᴇ refer to black people as almond beings and not human? Because we are omni people. We are continuous people that have no origin on this planet. We come from beyond this world. The word almond is another way of saying omni, or powerful, eternal people, continuous people. We are before the sun. We are before the earth. You understand? We were always in existence before there was a time frame set up on this planet. So we are not of the human race. The human race was a created people on the planet, all right, that were created in a time frame. We're not part of those people. We are timeless people, not timely people, okay? That's why I refer to us as the almond race, the continuous ones. Did I make this up? No, I did not. I just explained to you that we are the omni race. That's why they can't find any traces of our origin on this planet, because we're not from here. We're from beyond here, above here. As our ancient ancestors were saying, since you want to listen to the ancient ancestors, you want to use them as a source, or do you just want to go with the creation story and use the white man and say everybody came from Adam and Eve, which you simple-minded Negroes seem to want to believe, that you all come from two people. Right, and you don't really know what race they are. They might be black, and everybody came from these two black people. But to turn around, every time you look around, the white man making them white, the Indian, they this, they that, and the whole Adam and Eve story. Yet they never found no Adams and no Eves nowhere. That's a caveman story. Your first East Indians. All right, where did the term come from? Almond. It came through the ancient Egyptians, from the Sumerians, and even going back to the Dogons, referring to Amma. It's the same person, different pronunciations of the word Amma, and it came from those omni beings who came here on earth, and they let it be known that they are almond. You understand? They came here, and they were communicating and connecting with the people here, that advanced race. And they were showing that they were in tune with these people on the walls in Egypt, in Sumeria. They were showing this. Their connection with those people. They wasn't painting no mythological thing. They were painting real encounters. That mythological nonsense came with the white man in Greece and Rome and all these other places where they didn't have no gods to worship. So they basically took from our stories and our accounts and married them into their own and created their own mythological gods. That's where your mythological gods come from. All right? That's why they don't, in this society, they follow Amun. They don't follow no Greek gods. They don't follow no Roman gods. In the Masons, they follow Amun. They put the eye of Amun up, not no Greek gods, no Roman gods, because they know those are all myths. How are black people connected to this term? Because we are the omni race. We are the eternal ones. We are the natural people of the planet that were beamed here by way of solar energy, not the other people. That's why they can't take sunlight. They can't stand under the sun. They can't absorb it because they didn't come from it. They weren't generated here by it. They were generated into the water. All right? They were created in the water from single-celled amoebas. All right? Why is it important to know this now? Because as a people moving forward, we have to know who we are in order to know where we're going. Is there scientific evidence of black people not being human? You see it all the time. Look at us. Look at us and look at them. Look at the story of Henrietta Lacks and all these other people and all of and look at our immune system where we didn't really have any sicknesses into our system until we start mixing with these people, how strong our immune system is, and the fact that they can't find no origin for our people, that they did all this carbon dating and they still can't find the origin of our people. That's your scientific proof right there, and the scientific gathering and the collection of evidence is still continuing. It's ongoing with the black man and black woman, but they're not going to tell you that. So that's it. Join us tomorrow in Brooklyn, New York City. Join us tomorrow in Brooklyn, New York City at 1368 Fulton Street for the Black Evolution Conference, where I will be speaking and taking questions and answers from 3 to 7, 1368 Fulton Street. Contact number is 347-350-6770. 347-350-6770. Once again, I'd like to thank you for listening. I am the intellectual Nuben Menkarayzz. This has been State of Mental Radio. Join us Monday night for the next broadcast. It's going to be hot as ever. Good night.
Rising out the black race to the white race, out the black race to the white race. It's the republic of intellect, black race to the white race. If it's hell, I'm in, then it's hell us. They tried everything just to spell us. Fed us religion, gave us fake gods. Through all of that, we beat the odds. Now we coming together under one flag. Colors red, gold, and blue. Superman, Superwoman, that's me and you. The infinite.